Breaking news out of Las Vegas: the Raiders are preparing for a massive Monday Night Football clash against their bitter rivals, the Los Angeles Chargers. This isn't just another game, this could decide who takes control of the AFC West. Raider Nation, the stakes couldn't be higher, and the pressure is on. The key question is simple: what must the Raiders do to secure victory? Let's start with one name that has been surrounded by both criticism and praise: Ashton Gentry. All week long, the conversation around Gentry has been heated. Some fans have doubted his impact, but let me tell you this: when you actually study the tape, you see a different story. His pass protection, especially against blitz packages, stood out way more than the critics want to admit. He showed toughness against New England, and if he can repeat that, it could open the door for some creative play calling. Backhand index pointing right. And before we dive even deeper into this matchup, a quick reminder: if you love staying ahead on all things Raiders, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and hit that bell icon so you never miss breaking news. Now, let's get right back into it. Here's the real opportunity: the Raiders need to get Gentry into open space. Don't just force him to run behind an offensive line that has struggled to create holes. Instead, get him involved on wheel routes, in the flats, and with screen passes. Think of it like a shooter in basketball: once you see the first shot drop, the confidence builds, and suddenly everything starts to click. If the Raiders can build that momentum for Gentry, his presence could shift the tone of this entire game. And this is only the beginning. Another key factor: the Raiders must explore more 12 personnel. Yes, Brock Bowers is dealing with a knee issue and missed Thursday's practice, but if he can suit up, this formation could be a difference maker. Now, let's talk about the tight end situation, because it could be one of the biggest factors in this matchup. My understanding is that Brock Bowers is expected to suit up. Earlier reports suggested he was close to returning against New England, which gives me confidence that number 89 will be on the field this Monday night. But let's be real: if Bowers isn't healthy, the Raiders' offense looks very different. A duo of Bowers and Michael Mayer is a whole different animal compared to Mayer and Ian Thomas. That extra threat changes how defenses line up, and it opens the door for the Raiders to lean on 12 personnel, something that could pay huge dividends. Need proof? Look at last week. When Seattle leaned into 12 personnel, Geno Smith absolutely shredded the defense. He completed 11 of 13 passes, threw for 185 yards, averaged more than 14 yards per attempt, and posted a near-perfect passer rating. That kind of efficiency is no accident: it came from balance, play action, and keeping the defense off guard. For the Raiders, this isn't just about Gentry getting touches. Running more 12 personnel can make the entire offense click, especially against a Chargers defensive line that is built to dominate the trenches. Spread them out, give your quarterback safer options, and suddenly the field starts to open up. But here's another critical key: protect the football. No turnovers. That might sound simple, but it's been the difference between past Raiders teams and the one we're seeing under new leadership. When Geno coughed up the ball against New England, momentum shifted instantly, and in years past, that would have been the breaking point. The Raiders would have crumbled. This time, they didn't. They stayed composed, fought through it, and finished the job. That tells me this team has turned a corner. And heading into this matchup, in front of a fired-up Raider Nation crowd, ball security could be the thin line between heartbreak and victory. Turnovers may decide this battle, but let's be clear: this game is about more than just giveaways and takeaways. Two teams that know each other well, locked in a dead-even rivalry, are about to collide. And in a matchup this close, the margin for error is razor-thin. For the Raiders, the single most important key is simple but critical: protect Geno Smith. When Geno has time, this offense transforms. We saw it last week: even when the run game sputtered, the moment he had a clean pocket, he delivered strike after strike. With weapons like Trey Tucker stretching the field, Dante Thornton pulling coverage deep, and precise route runners like Jacoby Myers working the middle, the Raiders suddenly become dangerous from every angle. Add in tight ends like Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, and this attack can shred defenses vertically and horizontally. But here's the challenge: the offensive line must step up. Colton Miller has to anchor the left side, but the spotlight is on the right. Jackson Powers-Johnson and DJ Glaze cannot afford to collapse against a ferocious Chargers front. Raiders fans haven't forgotten the nightmare of Khalil Mack racking up sack after sack in this very matchup, and that simply cannot happen again. The truth is, Geno doesn't have to be the best player on the field, but he is the most vital. If the line gives him time, in front of a fired-up Allegiant Stadium crowd, Geno will put on a show. There's a reason he leads the league in yards per attempt and explosive 20-yard completions. He stretches defenses, punishes coverage breakdowns, and thrives when he's upright. So here's the bottom line: keep Geno clean, and the Raiders have a real shot at fireworks under the Monday night lights. Coming up, let's shift gears to the other side of the ball, the defensive keys that could determine this rivalry showdown. When it comes to the defensive game plan, the mission is clear: make Justin Herbert uncomfortable from the very first snap. By the time this game is over, the Raiders should aim to have Herbert's jersey covered in grass stains. That's the level of pressure it will take to tilt this matchup. We saw it in the second half of last week's game, when the defense cranked up the blitz and forced the quarterback to speed up his reads. Everything changed. That's the formula. Forget sitting back in a soft zone and letting Herbert pick apart the field. That's a recipe for disaster. Instead, it has to be aggressive, relentless, and constant pressure. Patrick Graham's defense can't afford to play it safe. Raiders fans know exactly what prevent mode looks like: soft cushions, no pass rush, and long, draining drives by the opponent. That simply cannot happen on Monday night. If anything, I'd rather see the Raiders go down swinging with heavy blitz packages than sit back and die slowly against Herbert's arm. Because here's the truth: Justin Herbert is one of the most gifted quarterbacks in the NFL. His arm talent, his poise, his ability to throw lasers downfield, when he's in rhythm, he can light up any defense. Just look at the numbers he put up last week. But that's why pressure is everything. Take away his confidence early, and the game flips. Let him get comfortable, and it could turn into a long night at Allegiant Stadium. The strategy is simple: hit him, rattle him, and never let him breathe. We all know the story with Justin Herbert: when he's protected and confident, he can look unstoppable. But when you hit him, when you get him off his rhythm, the cracks show fast. And in a road game with Raider Nation making Allegiant Stadium feel like a hostile environment, this is the perfect chance to shake him. Pressure Herbert, and he goes from looking like an MVP candidate to looking ordinary. But here's the catch: it's not just Herbert the Raiders need to worry about. His lifeline is Keenan Allen. Even at this stage of his career, he's the heartbeat of the Chargers' passing game. Look at the numbers: 6 of his 7 catches last week moved the chains or found the end zone. On third downs especially, Herbert leans on him like a safety blanket. When the drive is on the line, Allen is the first read, the comfort zone, the bailout. That means the Raiders' defense has one clear mission: take Keenan Allen away on critical downs. Don't let him extend drives. Don't let him bail out Herbert. Because the moment you remove his security blanket, you force Herbert into tighter windows and tougher decisions, and that's where mistakes are made. And let's be honest, this is going to be a chinstrap game. Buckle it up, because Jim Harbaugh's identity is no secret. His offenses, led by Greg Roman, want to pound the ball and wear down defenses physically. They want to run it right at you until you break. That means the Raiders' front seven must answer with the same intensity: set the tone, bring the hit, and let the Chargers know from the first quarter that nothing will come easy. This isn't just about stopping plays. It's about breaking their rhythm, breaking their confidence, and breaking their will. Make no mistake, the Chargers are going to test the Raiders' toughness. Expect them to pound the ball with Omari and Hampton, trying to establish a physical tone from the very beginning. And while I believe Herbert will still air it out plenty, this game is going to demand that the linebackers and safeties play downhill and deliver hits. Games like this often come down to who's more physical, who's more resilient, and who refuses to back down. And right now, I believe the Raiders have the edge in both mental and physical toughness. Even a slight advantage, one extra stop, one forced turnover, one brutal hit that changes momentum, could tilt this game. But there's no bigger X factor than Max Crosby. Number 9-8 isn't just a leader, he's the engine of this defense. I've heard he's especially fired up for this matchup, and you can see why. Last year, critics threw shade, talking about how rookie tackle Joe Alt owned him. Crosby hasn't forgotten. This is the kind of game where he wants to silence every doubt. The Chargers are already short-handed on the offensive line with Rashawn Slater sidelined. That means mismatches, and Crosby has to feast. If he can dominate early, force constant adjustments, and demand double teams, it opens the door for Tyree Wilson, Malcolm Kuntz, and even the interior rush to collapse the pocket. We've seen it before, Crosby can single-handedly take over a game. The Raiders need that kind of performance here. A 2-sack night would be big. A strip sack or game-changing play? That could be the difference between walking out with a win or suffering a gut-wrenching loss. Bottom line, if Crosby plays at the level we know he can, the Chargers' offense will be in survival mode all night long.